everybody, and welcome to Take a Break. It'd be great if everybody joins us. I know that lots of people watch as an IGTV a bit later on in the day, but this is, I think, our second series of Take a Break. So we decided that we'd restart as soon as we went into second lockdown. And this is our third episode, I think. I'm not 100% sure. But it is, hopefully, we do take a break for the duration of this lockdown, however long that may last. And I know that when we did the first one, we never thought that we'd end up doing 20 weeks. Hello.
Hiya. You all right?
Yeah, good, thank you. Oh,
Good.
the top of my head, I think. I was just saying how
Oh, that's better. I can see.
yeah, that's better now, isn't it? Mm-hmm. The first lockdown, we never envisaged that it would be 20 weeks, did we? We did 20 weeks. And I was saying that actually the plan is to keep doing this lockdown, this take a break for as long as we're in this lockdown.
Yeah.
But
we'll
hopefully
be doing it for the rest of our lives.
Stop it. Stop it. Stop it, Susan.
Can you tell them fed up?
But yeah, no, the plan is that we'll carry on, won't we? Depending on how long, this lockdown goes on for. I know it's, we've just had the news, haven't we, about actually schools definitely won't be opening after half term. I've been reading something today which says that schools will be March, shops will be April, and pubs and restaurants won't be till May. So I think we just have to wait and see, don't we?
Yeah, we do. Yeah. I mean, I think probably there's a little bit of me thinks he should have just waited till Easter, because I think people have got it in their heads that Easter was going to be when schools would go back. And I think unless it's 100% sure, don't say it, because it makes everybody wobble. Right. It really does.
There's still the potential that it won't be the 8th of March, but it could be Easter.
I think people have got used to doing it now. Schools have got into the swing of it, and not that it's the ideal. And yes, we know children need to get back to school, but I'd rather they carried on till Easter than stop and then have to start again, and go back to home learning again, because I think that just destroy people.
Crucified one.
Yeah.
Did you see Ramesh Ranganathan, the comedian? Yeah. He put a thing on the BBC. It was something about on Ranganation or whatever, the program that he does, and I saw a clip of it talking about what homeschooling is like. And he was saying, you know what, as parents, we're just surviving this. We're not teaching them maths. You know what, if you manage to get through a day with your children at home without actually, shouting and bawling the whole time, and actually still liking each other at the end of it, you're doing really, really well.
Yeah.
And other than that, anything else is a bonus.
I agree entirely. I think they're doing an amazing job. I was talking to a teacher the other day who said she said to the parents of her children, don't teach them any maths, because I think they were year 1, year 2. So what's that, 6, 7? Because as adults, we learnt maths very differently to what they did, what children do today, especially, division and multiplication and adding up and, but she's asked all her parents to try and teach their children the time while they're at home.
Because that's really hard as well. Yeah. Teaching the time is a really tricky one. It takes them a long time to get it.
Yeah, but it's also one of them that doesn't change, does it?
No.
The time, it's not a different way of doing it, because she was saying if the parents teach them the way they know, and then the children go back to the school, it's just going to be so confusing. So so she's asked all her parents to teach them how to tell the time. So I think that's a lovely way of doing it.
On a normal clock and not on a digital
one. Yeah. So but I just thought that was different, but I agree, that I was reading something, was it yesterday, I said to you about that parent, your parent being your own best parent. Children are going to think that their parents are their friends at the end of all this, because they've friendships
Those lines are really blurred, aren't they?
Absolutely, you know. And do you want some old, you know, frumpy adult
Speak for
wants to
yourself,
be your
mate.
best friend? Yeah, but you know, most adults,
Yeah, no,
yeah,
no.
but you don't, do you, as a child? I think I think there's a concern that children are really going to struggle going back with friendships and with the confidence with friendships, you know, having not done it for quite a while. And I know we say, oh, well, they can do it on Zoom or they can do it on, you know, another medium. It isn't the same. No. That interaction is just not the same over a different medium, is it? No, so,
not like face-to-face interaction.
No, not at all.
So much harder to read body language, to get that nuance, isn't it, about you know what somebody's saying and what their body's telling you, and whether it's a joke or whether they're messing about, and you know, and it takes, well, what is it? We say 70% of communication is non-verbal. And actually, it's really, really hard, because the only bit of my body that I can see and that you can see is just my head. So you can't see anything else. And, you know, I think I've got quite an expressive face, but you don't pick up on those other clues, do you?
No, you don't, not at all. And I think children will find that really difficult. And I think especially the younger ones, you know, a good amount, you know, it's saying a good amount of their learning is done through other children. You know, they learn how to do lots and lots of different things, socialize, take turns, all that kind of thing. And, you know, if what I read somewhere, they've only been in school for 13 weeks of the last 12 months, 11 months. 11 months they've actually been in school, 13 weeks. How scary is that? And how, you know, but, you know, all that social bit is really, has got to be, it's going to have to be relearned almost, isn't it? Especially for the little ones. So if they've not got anybody at home and not seeing anybody else.
They haven't got any siblings or anything.
No.
You know, they don't have to take turns if they're at home, and there isn't anybody to take turns with, is there?
No,
so
if it's only dad, it's like, it's hard, isn't it? So that's why I say your best friend ends up being, you know, or your friends end up being your mum and dad, which it's not supposed to be, is it? So.
Not good, is it? I was it makes me really mad when I keep looking at all this stuff which says about, you know, there's this massive gap, they're way behind where they should be, and we're going to have to work really hard to make up that gap. There's talk about, you know, schools not having a 6-week summer holiday. And children being made to go back and repeat this year. Well, and also I just, there's a big bit of me which thinks, actually, who are they being compared against? Because there is, you know, the whole world, there's a gap for these children. Then, you know, they're not where their previous cohorts may well have been at this point, but it's across the world. Everybody has been in lockdown. The world has been in lockdown. You know, it's not that the schools in Suffolk have been in lockdown and the schools in Norfolk have still been open. So actually, you know, there's going to be a big gap between kids who went to school in Norfolk and the kids that went to school. Everybody's on the same level playing field. And actually, I think we need to stop talking about our kids being so far behind, and we've got to make up the gap, because it just makes them feel like they're failing.
And as far as missing out on holidays, oh my God, those poor teachers. I mean, the school hasn't stopped. They are working their socks off.
I know on Twitter there's one particular head teacher where every time anybody puts anything up about schools being closed, they tweet saying schools are not closed. But, you know, well, I've been into schools, in primary schools, where there's like 100 children still coming into school as key worker children.
I spoke to a teacher about an hour ago, and she was saying in their primary school they've got 130 key worker vulnerable children in school, which is an awful lot. She said
it's not closed, is it?
In her year bubble, there are 20 vulnerable key worker children. That's 2/3 of the normal class size. So it's not like, you know, people aren't in. But the good news for the primaries, and I presume it's across the area, is that their testing kits have come through, so they're going to be tested twice a week.
Good.
And they do it themselves, so that's good. But, you know, it's, and I think that will make them feel a bit more confident, which is
I'm just smiling, because have you seen the latest tests in China? So China has started doing anal swabs because they're more accurate.
No.
Yeah.
How can they be more accurate?
I don't know.
Oh
but I was looking at it and thinking, please don't think about introducing that in schools. Can you imagine?
God, no. Yeah, but no comment. No comment.
It just made me chuckle. It made me chuckle.
Yeah.
But we were talking, so one of the things that we thought we might just sort of touch on today is because you found a really interesting article, didn't you? A piece of research where it was all done about being your own best friend.
Yeah,
yeah. What sort of friend are you to yourself?
It wasn't. It was the thing I heard on the radio. It was a lady. It was a lady that had written a book, and oh gosh, I can remember her name was Jamie Theakston, but I can't remember what the book was actually
Was it
called.
Jamie Theakston too, or was it Jamie Thurston?
Thurston.
Isn't Jamie Theakston a chap that is on?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, so it was Jamie Thurston, wasn't it?
Thurston,
but she'd wrote a book about compassion, etc. You know, but one of the things she was saying was, you know, we say about being our own best friend, but she was saying to ask yourself the question, or ask others, you know, what kind of friend are you to yourself? You know, are you that critical friend? Are you a good friend? Are you a friend sometimes, but other times really have a go at yourself? You know, what kind of friend are you? And it just resonated, and it was like, because I think it does change, and I think it's a good way of looking at it. What kind of, and I've used it quite a lot this week with people, just saying, so what kind of friend are you to yourself? And it does make people think, actually, what kind of friend am I? You know, am I that friend I really want? Am I my own best friend? There weren't many people I spoke to that said that one. No.
And I've just done a recording for a lesson for some year 7, 8s and 9s, and we decided, didn't we? We had a conversation. Thought, we're going to put it into that lesson, and I talked about, actually, are you your own best friend, or are you a frenemy?
Because we talked to the kids about
frenemies.
Adults probably don't know what frenemies are, because I don't know if I would have done before I started talking to the kids about it. So you're going to tell us what a frenemy is,
aren't you? So a frenemy is somebody who pretends to be a friend but actually isn't very nice, and actually ends up making you feel quite bad about yourself, because they'll do things like they might laugh at you, or they might encourage other people to laugh at you, or talk about you behind your back, or so they sort of like give the impression of being a friend, but actually they're not particularly nice, and the friendship leaves you feeling not very good about yourself. Because I think that's one of the big things, isn't it, in friendships, is that in friendships and relationships, actually, both people who are involved should feel good about themselves as part of that relationship. And I think that sort of ties into that whole thing about what sort of friend are you to yourself. Because actually, if the sort of friend that you are to yourself doesn't make you feel good about yourself, that's not what it should be about, should it?
Absolutely not. No. You do need to just strive to be, and especially at the moment where, you know, we're not near people as much, and we're not we're definitely not socializing face to face, but even on, you know, social media, my feeling is just talking in general to people. You know, on last lockdown, we did a lot of, you know, we did the Zoom quizzes, didn't we, every week, and family things, and all sorts
of film on Zoom together.
But there was lots of different things like that going on. My feeling is that's almost waned off. People are not fed up of it, but it's not, you know, they've got a bit disheartened with it all.
Disheartened. Well, I think I was looking at something that was talking about sort of a bit of like lockdown fatigue. Like people have been there, done it, just sort of like tired of doing that, and I just don't want to do it anymore.
And that's the bit, isn't it? Because you've not lost the friendships, but, you know, you're not doing that as frequently with people. I think, again, back to that bit of, you need to be your own best friend. You need to be backing yourself. You need to be having that nice conversation with yourself, looking after yourself, treating yourself, doing whatever it is that just makes you feel a bit better. Because I think you're right. A lot of people have just had enough now. They're fed up a bit.
Tired. It's gone on to it all.
It's gone on to, and I think people's emotions are a bit nearer the surface. And I've noticed this week, just on certain things I've gone on, that actually people are more emotional, and you know, the tears are nearer the surface with a lot of people, and they, you know, their resilience is less and all that. And I think people, this is the time where you really have to dig deep to do that self-care, don't you? Yeah.
Well,
Really hard.
I've been talking to quite a lot of people, and they've been saying, I can't understand why I'm feeling so wobbly, because normally I would cope with this. I'd just brush it off and it'd be fine. And I've talked to people and say, but at the moment, if you think about it, like normally we'd sort of like be along here, wouldn't we? This level of, you know, fight, flight, freeze. Where are we? Everything's okay. And, you know, something will come along and you might just go up to here and you can cope. Whereas now we're already here. And it doesn't take much to make us suddenly go whoosh, and you feel overwhelmed. And because we're already at a heightened level, and I think because of everything that's going on.
And I think that we would have coped before. We cope with things, but we've never had this before.
No.
You know, we've never had this before. And I think I said last week, you know, for me, it feels like it's very different from the first time. The first time we had that, you know, the sun was shining for the majority of it, so we were outside, even, you know, out in gardens, out in the park, whatever it was, going for a walk. But also there was that naivety of, oh well, this won't, you know, we'll do this bit and then it'll all be over and we'll be back to normal, you know, by September, and Christmas we won't even remember it, you know. And it's far from that, isn't it? So, and I think that's what's got people now realise that this could go on for quite a while, and I think that's really got to people at the moment. You know, there's no end in sight, is there? And that impacts on me.
I suppose part of it is the vaccine, hopefully, will mean that actually, you know, things will start to turn around. And I think if they're starting to do things like introducing testing into primary schools, like they do in secondary schools, they've got to start thinking about opening schools again at some point. You know, however that might look and whatever that might be. I don't think coronavirus is ever going to go away.
No, with it, won't it?
Yeah. You know, it's going to be like the flu. I think it's going to be here every year, and whatever that then means. Because I think, you know, in 5 years' time, I wonder if we're going to think about coronavirus in the same way that we think about the flu now. In that we don't really worry about it. You know, if you get it, it's horrible. Well, you have your flu jab, and actually,
you have your jab every year, and
you have your jab, and actually, you just sort of get on with it, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
And you know, that's my sort of hope. I think if I think really long term, is that actually that's what will happen in the future. That it will just be, you know, we'll treat it in the same way as we would. The flu.
Fingers crossed. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. Now, because I read a really interesting article in The Guardian that was in on Sunday.
I did see it. Yeah.
Did you? Which talks about how a year without having any hugs starts to affect our mental health. And I know that you've really struggled, haven't you? Really struggled.
I really struggled. Yes. Yeah. And I think alone. I'm quite fortunate, really, that I live with Dave, but it's that whole bit of, you know, anybody that lives at home alone must find it really difficult, really hard. But I think it is that bit. It was very interesting, wasn't it, how the impact of not having that touch is really big on well-being.
And they talked about actually the need for touch develops right in the womb. And actually that thing about you suddenly you know, as a baby in the womb, you realize that's how you get your sense of self, is because of the fact that I don't know it was fascinating, wasn't it?
It was the amniotic fluid against your body, wasn't it?
And actually, you know, if you think about it, as a newborn baby, you can't be cared for or looked after without people touching you. So, you know, that's how we learn all of our stuff about, you know, what the world is like and how we feel safe, is by people touching us, especially when we're little, before we actually learn to speak. So really interesting talking about touch. I was really interested by the fact, I've got the article in front of me so that I can see. I was really interested in the fact about we have this set of fibers in our body. So in our skin, we have all the stuff that does temperature, but we have this set of fibers, and they're called CTs. So they're C-tactile afferents. And basically it says they're a particular type of neuron in the neuron in the skin. So it's in all social animals, and what they do is they transmit slow electrical signals to the emotional processing parts of the brain, and they play a critical role in developing the social brain and our ability to be able to withstand stress. And what he says is that it shows that, so they're at their highest density in areas that we can't really touch ourselves, so in like our backs and our shoulders, back and shoulders. And he said that actually they did a study that showed that gentle, slow stroking, even from a stranger, can actually reduce our feelings of social isolation. So even from a stranger, it doesn't have to be anybody that you know. And he talked about, like, in primates, you have a close group of probably about 5 other primates, and that's the same with adults and humans. We probably have about 5 people that are really, like, close to us. And in the primates, it's only one of those 5 that they allow to groom them. But it's the grooming on the back and everything, and it releases oxytocin, which is our love hormone. Honestly, really, really interesting.
And we've known that. We've said that all along about the oxytocin and the touch, how important it is, and how, you know, that and it is. But I know people who crave it at the moment, absolutely crave just to have a hug. But it was also interesting what you're saying about your back, because I know quite a few people in my extended family who love having their backs rubbed.
Yeah, me too. I love having my back rubbed.
Do you?
Yeah.
Not
do
you?
Well,
I'm not that worried. But I've got a couple of family members who, if you rub them, they would give you anything to have a back rub. Yeah.
I'll have to find out who that is later. I really like having my back. Yeah, I love
strange, isn't it? Yeah,
but really nice. And it says that this thing is that it releases oxytocin, but also dopamine. And actually what that does is it has a direct impact on our levels of cortisol. So that whole thing about being stressed. So just fascinating.
And we desperately need that at the moment, don't we? Because our cortisol levels, because of the adrenaline, the cortisol levels are up, and they're up quite for a lot of us. They're up a lot, aren't they? They're up constantly. Yeah. So it would be good to get them down. So, you know, I say to people things like, and it did touch on it in there, that, you know, yes, okay, some people live alone, but the other thing that's increased dramatically during lockdown is people buying dogs and puppies and things like that, haven't they, and animals. And my feeling is that's partly also to do with the fact that, you know, stroking an animal, although you don't get, it's not exactly the same, you do get some feeling, especially stroking the dog, you know, you do get similar feeling of being touched yourself. So it's actually quite a nice thing to, you know, it's not the same as a hug off a human, but it is actually, you know, it's a very good substitute.
Yeah. I've just found it. So it says, in these times of touch deprivation, there's no real substitute for what we get from other humans, but there are other ways that we can do it. And they're about to publish a study which says that in the same way that we think we might be able to feel other people's pain, we can also experience touch vicariously. So researchers found that seeing touch on TV or films, particularly social, affective or pet touch, can give us the same benefits of feeling touch ourselves. Isn't that interesting? So the brain codes the experience in multiple ways. So we can feel the pain and pleasure of others just by seeing them. And it's not a permanent or complete substitute, but a partial one. The other one that she says is quite good is that actually weighted blankets.
Yeah, so
because you can feel it if you put it around your shoulders and on your back and stuff. Weighted blankets can really help. Makes you feel a lot calmer.
I always say about the angel touch, and it is a real comfort if you put, you know, hug yourself and really tap on each side of your arm. That can really help. But weighted blankets, I thought was a really good idea. Yeah, because you know that feeling of if it's a nice, secure feeling.
If you can feel it on you. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and it says interacting with animals is also really good as well. You know, and somebody's written. I love the way it started. Somebody wrote, Hang on a sec, let me see what she says. She says, there's only so much a dog can do. I live alone with my Staffy, and by week 8 of the first lockdown, she was rolling her eyes at my ever-tightening clutch. Because it is a bit like that, isn't it? People who've got dogs, it's like, oh, just leave me alone. Yeah. And then also the whole like, don't take me for another walk. I don't want to go out again.
No, I know. Yeah, it's at least it's not a cat. Cat would just go. It wouldn't.
Oh yeah, they'd just be gone, wouldn't
they? That is on their terms. If it's a cat, isn't it? At least a dog will give you a bit of leeway.
Bit of feedback.
No, yeah, cat wouldn't, would it? No,
not at all. Well, they say, don't they? One of those. I love that thing about cats have autism. So very much on their terms, whereas dogs have got ADHD.
Yeah.
Oh, look,
yeah. Show me some attention. Show me attention. Show me attention. Yeah.
That resonated with me. I like that.
Yeah,
like
it's very true, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I think
another week.
Yeah. Touches. Brilliant for well-being, and I think you're right. I think that angel touch, isn't it, or just hand massage with hand cream, or doing anything like that can be really good.
Well, I've been telling parents, if I've got somebody I'm speaking to, if there are parents saying, do it with the children as well. Do hand massages, do feet. Rub some cream.
You hate having your feet touched, though.
Yeah, I didn't say me. I said them.
I love having my feet touched.
Oh God, you're weird. Back touched and feet touched.
How can you say that to me?
But if I said to you in normal times, I want a hug, you'd go, oh, you'd be like, oh, yeah, you'll have your back and your feet rubbed.
Yeah, but not by you.
Oh no, but you can hug anybody out. Now we're getting too ridiculous. I don't want to know who rubs your feet and who rubs your back. I really don't.
Probably best we don't.
But no,
probably best we don't.
That whole bit of, I can't, don't touch my feet, and I'm not worried about my back, but I really like a hug. Yeah.
Okay, so if anybody meets Sue and we're allowed to, please give her a hug. Because she'll hug anybody.
I will. Oh, that sounds really bad.
At least I'm thinking about who I let rub my feet and my back.
Yeah, no, I'm quite happy to give somebody a hug. Yeah, no, I think that human contact, and it does worry me, the effects it's going to have on people. Really worries me. The longer this goes on, it really affects their mood and what's going on for people. And I think it is just that one day at a time. Just keep doing it one day at a time. Don't look into the future, because I think if we start and that's again why telling me that the schools are opening in March, shops April, the pubs May. Don't, because if it doesn't happen, there's a real plummet of everything, isn't there? You lift people up, and I'm frightened that they're just going to plummet down again. It's better that people just concentrate on the now and really concentrate on that bit, and don't look too far in the future, and just we'll get there, but we just don't want I just frightened, they've done it in the past where they promise it and then take it away, and that Christmas, that's why I think everybody plummeted so badly, because it had been promised and then it was taken away, wasn't it? And that wasn't good. So that's my only fear, but yeah.
Okay. So
be more optimistic. Yes.
Optimistic.
It will happen. It will happen. I know.
Yes. It will. It will. And I wonder whether or not actually Action for Happiness next calendar might help, because it's Friendly February, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to having a look at it, actually, to see what it looks like. So, definitely.
3 days.
Yeah, 1st of Feb.
Yeah, not long.
I can have a drink.
Oh, God. I'll be glad to see the back of January.
I'll be glad that I can have a drink. Yeah. Dry January. I've done it, though. I've done it.
Well done, you.
I know.
I haven't.
No.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a bit worried that obviously the 1st of February is a Monday, so I'm a bit worried about the hangover that I'm going to have on Tuesday morning, because it's like, so Tony was trying to persuade me that we should drink at the weekend because it's nearly the end of January.
Yeah,
but unless we get to the very end, there's no point in doing it.
Of course there is. You've done very well. Can you pretend that January's now only got 30 days?
I suppose we could.
And it's the 0 of February.
Yeah, I still need to have a look and see what I'm doing on Monday. Otherwise, they might get me with a hangover.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if you've got a full day on Monday, you don't want that, do you?
No, not really. No. So on that note, let's say goodbye, and thank you very much for everybody who watches,
for joining us.
And hopefully we'll see you all next week. But look out for the Action for Happiness February's calendar. Friendly February, which I think it'll be worth having a look, because I wonder what things they're going to get you to do. Okay then. Bye bye.
All right, take care. See you next week. Bye.